2020 not only marks the beginning of a new decade, but it also underscores an important year in view of the upcoming presidential elections in the U.S. According to the United States Census Bureau, 53% of the voting age population made their voices heard in the 2018 midterm elections, making it the highest voter turnout rate in the last 4 decades. And although young voters, 18 to 29-year-olds, get a bad rap for not voting, this age group went from 20% participation in 2014 to 36% in 2018, a 79% jump, the largest of any age group. So I wanted to find out for myself how engaged, if at all, Montgomery College students are feeling about the upcoming elections.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
My name is Matthias Lindroth.
My name is Tyler.
My name is Eli.
My name is David Godoy.
Their answers were very telling.
Yes, I do plan to vote in this year's election.
I think it's because it's a very hostile political climate right now.
Half on half. I'm really trying to learn the basics between both sides so I understand more of what's going on in the community and the economy.
I think a good contender will be Bernie Sanders, and another good contender should be Joe Biden.
I don't like him, but I really enjoy a lot of the comedy and satire that has come out of his presidency.
Despite Maryland changing its primary election date because of the COVID-19 outbreak, the Montgomery County Board of Elections has been hard at work getting ready for such an important event. The Board of Elections' role is to ensure that all Montgomery County residents who meet the qualifications cast their votes. They are in charge of providing the adequate equipment and have volunteers available at all voting locations to serve those individuals wanting to exercise the right to vote. Next, I'll be talking to their Public Information Officer, Dr. Gilberto Zelaya, who will provide insights into their changing strategies. Good afternoon, Dr. Zelaya. Thank you very much for joining us and bringing some light to the whole issue of the primary elections coming up.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. There's a lot of information that we are ready to share with our voters.
Let's jump right in and tell the audience when the primary election dates for the state of Maryland has been set for.
So originally, the primary presidential date was April 28th, but due to the complications of COVID-19 and the safety and the security and the health and well-being of our voters and staff and volunteers, the governor proclaimed that the primary presidential is to be moved to Tuesday, June 2nd.
So apart from changing such a key date, has any other dates been moved around, namely early voting, for instance?
Yes, very important question. So for the current presidential primary election, we will not implement early voting because of the amount of voters that would show up and vote during early voting. That becomes a public health concern. But what that means is that every single registered voter will be mailed their corresponding ballot in which they should vote, make their selections, they should sign the voter oath, and mail that back to the Board of Elections.
Basically, everything is being replaced by mail-in ballots.
Correct. So because of the issues as noted regarding COVID-19 and the safety and security of our voters, our volunteers and staff, Hogan proclaimed that we will be voting by mail. So what's important is that every single registered voter go to their corresponding local boards of elections and check to ensure that their voter registration record is current and up to date, especially their mailing address. Because a lot of times your residential address may not be the same as your mailing address. The other thing also, because of COVID-19, we have a lot of families moving in with their siblings or parents, etc. We have a lot of informal arrangements. And so an individual who let's say possibly was living in Baltimore County and moved in to live with family in Montgomery County, we want to make sure that voter receives their corresponding ballot. So the easiest way to do it is to text the word check, CHECK, the word check, to 77788. Or you could go to the Montgomery County Board of Elections or your corresponding Board of Elections to review your actual voter record. And if there's any changes, I highly recommend you make those changes, including your mailing address.
So since we're talking about making sure that people have their correct address in the system in order to get their mail-in ballots, let's talk about who is eligible to vote for primaries.
So any individual who will turn at least 18 by the general election, which is November 3rd. So a 17-year-old could vote in the primaries as long as they turn 18 by the general election. They also must be a U.S. citizen, either U.S. born or naturalized, and a resident of the state of Maryland.
There's only one Democratic candidate still running for the primaries, right? What will the Montgomery County Board of Elections be focusing on June 2nd?
Well, keep in mind that the presidential ballot is not just the nominee for the Democratic Party. There's also school board contests in each of the corresponding ballots, and also candidates or delegates for the convention or the caucuses for the corresponding parties, whether they're Democrat or Republican. So there's more than just one ballot corresponding to that individual's particular presidential ballot. What's important to note is the voter registration deadline was changed to May 27th.
Let's address what was a big issue in 2016, which was hacking interference, right? Tell us a little bit of what the Board of Elections does in order to ensure that residents' votes are protected from hacking interference.
Just like in 2016 and 2018, our scanners, which we use to scan the ballots, are not connected to the internet. We do not jump on Wi-Fi. So the results are shared with the State Board of Elections directly. And then once those are confirmed, they are released to the public via our website. So the issue of hacking, no, it's nil. What's important is that individuals ensure that once they receive their ballot in the mail, that they vote their ballot. And it's important that they sign the voter oath on the envelope. It's an affirmation that the individual who voted that ballot, who mailed that ballot, is that voter. So make sure that they sign it and that they mail it back to the Board of Elections. What's important to note is that there's no need for postage. Paid postage has been covered by the local boards of elections and the State Board of Elections, so there's no need to add any stamp. But also specifically for Montgomery County, we will have designated drop boxes around the county because it could be that the drop box may be closer than your actual post office.
Anything else that you would like voters to be aware of or know?
What's important too is we will have vote centers, but the vote centers would be for individuals unable to vote their ballot. It could be someone who's blind or maybe functionally illiterate. And also we will be implementing same-day registration. But keep in mind that the state they modified the voter registration deadline to the 27th, which is a couple of days before Election Day, in the hopes that you stay home. Register online. You could go to our website, which is 777vote.org, and you could download one of the applications in case you don't have access to, unless you don't have a Maryland driver's license, a permit, or an ID, because you need one of the three forms of identification, state-issued ID, to register online. But if you don't have one of those three documents, you can still download the application from our website, print it, fill it out. You will need to give the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, and then we coordinate and we contact the Social Security Administration to confirm that voter's information. So please do not procrastinate because we want to make sure that everyone's safe, from our voters to our volunteers and to our staff. We're all in this together. Stay home, save lives, and please vote your ballot.
I really do appreciate your time sharing with us all this information. I think the viewers will find it very helpful. Again, you stay healthy and stay well. And we thank you for the work that you're still doing. Looks like remotely, but very involved. And we appreciate that. Now we go back to Akua in her home studio.